And I'll say I've identified a few things I would say are concerning trends developing within the RV industry.
Half the rigs on these lots won't even make it past their first few summers. Mechanics know the truth. Electrical fires from bad wiring, plumbing leaks that rot floors, cabinetry ripping loose on highways. Families plan for campfires and sunsets and end up waiting months in service bays. Wallets drained. Which RVs are engineered to fail? Who's covering it up? And how many more families will lose their savings before people wake up? Stay with me, because once you see this list, you'll never look at RV ads the same again. Thor Freedom Elite. Step onto any dealership lot or glance through glossy brochures, and you will almost certainly see the Thor Freedom Elite shining in the sunlight, promising fun, family, and the open highway. This recreational vehicle is one of the most common entry-level motorhomes in North America. Mechanics, however, often sigh the moment one of these rigs pulls into the service bay. They know from experience that the name Freedom Elite can become bitterly ironic long before the odometer rolls over 60,000 miles. The Freedom Elite is part of Thor Motor Coach, a company with a massive footprint in the recreational vehicle industry. On paper, it seems like the perfect starter coach. It is affordable compared to larger diesel pushers. It rides on a familiar Ford E-Series chassis, and it is marketed directly at families looking for their very first house on wheels. At first glance, buyers believe they are making a sensible decision, a brand with wide distribution, plenty of floor plans, and a seemingly dependable warranty. Unfortunately, once reality sets in, owners often find themselves dealing with the same problems repeatedly. Roof leaks are perhaps the most notorious complaint. Even within the first few years of ownership, seams around vents and edges can allow moisture to seep inside. Once water finds its way through, floors begin to soften, wall panels bubble, and mold takes hold. For a family who imagined sunny vacations, discovering mildew creeping under the bed can be heartbreaking. Mechanics also note flimsy cabinetry that rattles after only a handful of trips, loose screws falling onto the floor, and drawers that refuse to stay closed during travel. The slide-outs, which are marketed as a comfort feature, are another frequent weak point. They often grind, bind, or completely jam, forcing owners to schedule expensive service visits. One mechanic reported that repairing a failed slide can easily cost several $1,000s, erasing any budget advantage the coach had at purchase. Electrical faults add to the frustration, flickering lights, unreliable outlets, and breakers tripping for no clear reason. Plumbing issues also appear, with cracked fittings or constant dripping that stain storage bays. When you add up these problems, the picture is clear. The Thor Freedom Elite lures in families with its attractive price and availability, but many discover it bleeds their wallets through constant downtime. A supposed gateway into adventure turns into a revolving door at the repair shop. Stepping away from flashy first impressions, let us move into a coach that greets buyers with a playful name, yet hides frustrations that can turn excitement into regret. Coachman Leprechaun. Picture the excitement of a family stepping into their very first recreational vehicle, their eyes wide as they see the friendly name Leprechaun on the side of the coach. It sounds magical, like a promise of lucky travels and endless road memories. Yet, many mechanics who work on these motorhomes will tell you that the supposed charm fades quickly, often long before the odometer reads 60,000 miles. The Coachman Leprechaun has been a familiar sight in dealership lots for decades, luring buyers with approachable price tags and layouts that look practical at first glance. Still, under the glossy brochures and warm marketing language lies a record of troubling reliability issues. Coachman as a company dates back to the year 1964, and over the years it has produced a wide range of motorhomes and trailers. The Leprechaun line was designed to be a friendly Class C option, built on reliable van chassis, like the Ford E-Series. For many families, this seemed like the perfect balance: affordable, easy to drive, and large enough to fit the kids and their gear. Unfortunately, the dream often turns sour when problems emerge earlier than expected. Roof leaks are one of the most consistent complaints. Mechanics regularly note seams that fail to keep out water, leading to stained ceilings, weakened floors, and mold growth in spaces that should have stayed clean and dry. Inside, cabinetry and furniture show wear. After only a handful of trips, what looked polished and secure during the sales pitch begins to rattle loosen, and sometimes collapse. Plumbing issues also arise. Owners have reported cracked fittings, pumps that fail to maintain pressure, and faucets that sputter rather than flow. Mechanics confirm that once plumbing begins to fail, costs escalate quickly, especially when water damage spreads to surrounding materials. Slide-outs, which were marketed as comfort features to expand living space, often misalign or refuse to retract correctly. Repairing these mechanisms is never simple and can easily add thousands of dollars to ownership costs. Combined with electrical quirks, flickering lights, tripped breakers, and dead outlets, the Leprechaun has built a reputation among technicians as a frequent visitor to the shop. For retirees or families who invested their savings into what they thought was a safe purchase, the frustration is real. Instead of campfires and sunsets, they find themselves waiting on parts or arguing over warranty coverage. Shifting gears from charm to reputation, our journey continues with a motorhome carrying a trusted family brand, yet its performance tells a very different story. Enjoying this breakdown so far? Hit that like button to keep this research coming, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Jayco Greyhawk? Imagine a family preparing for the road trip of a lifetime, bicycles strapped to the back, coolers filled with food, and children buzzing with excitement as they climb aboard their brand new Jayco Greyhawk. On paper, this motorhome appears to strike the perfect balance between affordability, comfort, and the rugged dependability of the Ford E-Series chassis. Jayco, a company founded in the year 1968, has built a reputation for craftsmanship and family-focused designs. The Greyhawk is marketed as one of its flagship Class C offerings, meant to inspire confidence that the investment will deliver years of adventure. Yet mechanics and owners alike report that long before the odometer reaches 60,000 miles, that confidence too often gives way to costly disappointment. One of the most frequently cited problems is roof delamination. This occurs when the bonded layers of the roof separate, creating soft spots, bubbles, and pathways for water intrusion. Once moisture infiltrates the structure, damage spreads rapidly. Warped floors, soft walls, and mold growth that can compromise the health of passengers. Mechanics stress that water damage is one of the most destructive forces in any recreational vehicle, and repairing it requires both time and significant financial outlay. The frustration grows deeper when these issues arise only a few seasons into ownership, especially for families who budgeted carefully to purchase what they thought was a dependable motorhome. Slide-outs, a feature designed to expand the living area, are another repeated pain point. Owners report jamming, creaking, and outright failure of the slide mechanisms. Technicians note that repairing or replacing these components can easily climb into several $1,000s. Plumbing and electrical systems add further headaches. Water pumps sometimes fail to maintain pressure, fittings crack under use, and electrical breakers trip unpredictably, leaving appliances and outlets unreliable. Even air conditioning units, expected to last many summers, have been known to falter prematurely. The emotional toll is just as serious as the financial one. Families invest not only money, but trust in the Greyhawk brand name, hoping to secure cherished memories on the open road. Instead, too many find themselves sitting in service center waiting rooms, watching vacations evaporate as repairs drag on. For older drivers and retirees, the stress of uncertainty, wondering what might fail next, undermines the peace of mind that should define retirement travel. Leaving behind promises of balance, it is time to examine a van-based dream machine that looks sleek on the surface but falters under real-world pressure. Winnebago Travato. Close your eyes and picture the glossy advertisements of van life living. A couple parks at a scenic overlook, doors swung wide open, coffee mugs steaming in their hands, and the words freedom and mobility practically shining off the screen. At the heart of this marketing dream sits the Winnebago Travato, built on the Ram Pro Master chassis. Since its debut, the Travato has been one of the most popular Class B motorhomes in North America, especially appealing to younger buyers and retirees eager for a nimble, park-anywhere coach. The Winnebago brand, dating back to the year 1960, has long carried the symbolism of American road trips and independence. Yet mechanics across the country report that beneath the stylish veneer, the Travato can begin to show troubling flaws well before the odometer reaches 60,000 miles. One of the primary mechanical concerns lies in the Ram Pro Master foundation itself. Derived from European van engineering, the ProMaster often struggles under the heavy loads demanded by a full recreational conversion. Technicians consistently encounter suspension components wearing out early, steering that feels loose or unstable in highway crosswinds, and transmissions that simply do not hold up to the expectations of full-time travel. Limited ground clearance only magnifies the issue, making the Travato far less rugged than the adventurous marketing implies. Inside the coach, owners frequently voice frustrations over rattling cabinetry, broken latches, and sagging beds that lose their comfort after minimal use. The plumbing system is another weak link. Water pumps are known to sputter, fittings can leak even in nearly new models, and moisture damage spreads quickly if left unresolved. Electrical systems do not escape criticism either. Lights flicker, outlets refuse to deliver steady current, and appliances sometimes fail without warning. Mechanics emphasize that each of these repairs can lead to extended downtime, draining savings, and leaving trips canceled. Perhaps most disheartening is the air conditioning system, which has been reported to fail during long summer drives, undermining one of the most basic needs of travelers seeking comfort. For buyers who spend as much on a Travato as they might on a modest home addition, the letdown is significant. Instead of open landscapes and spontaneous journeys, many owners find themselves tied to service appointments and unexpected invoices. From compact struggles, the spotlight now turns toward a towering gas-powered giant, where grand scale and bold marketing mask a list of stubborn flaws. Forest River, Georgetown. Think about pulling into a campground behind the wheel of a massive recreational vehicle, towering above smaller rigs, with slide-outs extended and lights glowing. That commanding presence often belongs to the Forest River, Georgetown, a Class A gas-powered motorhome marketed as an affordable way to enter the world of large-scale luxury travel. Founded in the year 1996, Forest River grew quickly into one of the largest recreational vehicle manufacturers in North America, producing everything from towable trailers to high-end motor coaches. The Georgetown line is one of its flagships, designed to give buyers the feel of a diesel pusher at a lower entry price. For many, the promise seems irresistible. Unfortunately, mechanics and owners across the country caution that the Georgetown too often fails to deliver on its ambitious image, with significant problems showing up long before the odometer rolls past 60,000 miles. One of the most notorious trouble spots is the slide-out system. Rather than smoothly gliding in and out, owners report loud grinding noises, binding mechanisms, and slides that refuse to retract properly. Mechanics stress that repairing slide systems on a rig of this size can cost several $1,000s, and the downtime often ruins carefully planned vacations. Another consistent weakness is the leveling system. Instead of offering easy, push-button stability, many Georgetown owners describe hydraulic jacks that fail to deploy evenly, tilt unexpectedly, or simply refuse to hold pressure. This not only creates frustration, but can also be dangerous when parking on uneven ground. Electrical issues further compound the headaches for Forest River, Georgetown owners, as technicians often discover overloaded circuits, loose wiring, and sections of the coach that lose power without warning, leaving lights flickering, appliances cutting out, and breakers tripping. Plumbing systems fail as well, with leaking fittings, sputtering pumps, and heating or cooling units struggling to regulate temperature on long trips. Interior finishes add disappointment, with warped cabinets, chipped countertops, and prematurely worn furniture. For those who invest a six-figure sum expecting lasting durability, the result is repair bills, warranty disputes, lost time, and the painful realization that toughness is absent. With grandeur revealing its cracks, attention shifts to a diesel-powered symbol of luxury, showing that a bigger price tag does not always buy peace of mind. Before we dive into the final two cautionary tales, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. Future guides could save you thousands and countless headaches, and you definitely do not want to miss what's coming next. Fleetwood Discovery. Imagine stepping into a motorhome that proudly advertises itself as refined luxury on wheels, plush seating, glossy cabinetry, and a name that has circulated in the recreational vehicle market since the mid-1950s. Inspire confidence that this purchase will be the crown jewel of your traveling adventures. The Fleetwood Discovery, a Class A diesel motorhome, carries a hefty price tag that can reach well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is marketed as the coach that blends prestige, power, and long-haul capability. Yet beneath the sparkling brochures and promises of worry-free road life lies a trail of complaints from both owners and service technicians. Far too often, the Discovery begins to unravel long before the odometer climbs to 60,000 miles, creating frustration and expense instead of peace of mind. Mechanics frequently highlight electrical problems in the Fleetwood Discovery, with owners reporting flickering lights, malfunctioning control panels, and inconsistent power delivery that undermine convenience. slide-outs, which should expand the living space with ease, instead grind, jam, or fail altogether, trapping travelers until costly specialized repairs are made. Plumbing and heating systems add further frustration through leaking lines, failing pumps, and air conditioning units that falter during peak summer heat. Even cosmetic elements, cabinetry, trim, and finishes, misalign, chip, or rattle after only a few outings, steadily eroding the sense of quality and luxury that the Discovery name once promised. For retirees or working families who committed life savings to this coach, the letdown is painful. The diesel powertrain may be robust, but the surrounding construction often undermines the entire experience. Instead of bulletproof dependability, Discovery ownership can mean recurring shop visits, delayed trips, and bills that sting far more than expected. Closing in on the end of our countdown, the focus lands on a heritage brand once revered for craftsmanship. Yet its entry-level trims leave many travelers stranded in frustration. Tiffin Allegro. Picture the pride of driving away in a gleaming motorhome bearing the Tiffin badge, a brand long associated with craftsmanship, tradition, and prestige. Founded in the year 1972, Tiffin motorhomes grew into a household name in the recreational vehicle world, often praised for family-run values and attention to detail. The Allegro line became the cornerstone of that reputation, promising buyers a dependable gateway into Class A ownership. Yet mechanics across the nation caution that the entry-level trims of the Allegro do not always live up to this storied legacy. Owners frequently report that their dreams of effortless luxury travel collapse well before the odometer even touches 60,000 miles. One recurring issue involves roof integrity. Seams and seals on these entry-level Allegro coaches have been known to fail prematurely, allowing water intrusion that spreads damage rapidly. Warped flooring, soft walls, and mold growth are all consequences mechanics encounter far too often. Another common frustration stems from the slide-out mechanisms. Rather than offering smooth expansion of the living area, they can grind, stall, or fail completely. Repairs in this area are rarely simple and frequently climb into several $1,000s. Air conditioning systems designed to cool expansive interiors sometimes struggle after only a few seasons, leaving families sweltering on summer trips. Electrical shortcomings add another layer of stress. Owners describe breakers that trip at random, inverters that suddenly quit, and panels that fail without clear cause. Plumbing systems, meanwhile, often show their weaknesses with fittings that crack under pressure, water lines that drip, and pumps that cannot sustain reliable flow. Even the once celebrated interior finishes do not always meet expectations. Mechanics have noted prematurely worn upholstery, cabinets that misalign, and furniture that loses its comfort after only a handful of journeys. The result is a bitter disappointment for buyers who invested life savings or retirement funds into what they believed would be a reliable long-term coach. Instead of sunsets at scenic campgrounds or peaceful nights by a lake, many Allegro owners spend their time negotiating with service centers, waiting for back-ordered parts, or facing steep repair invoices. The emotional toll is as heavy as the financial one, with the name Allegro feeling less like music and more like a broken chord. With the Tiffin Allegro closing this countdown, the lesson is crystal clear. Whether budget-friendly or luxury-priced, whether compact van or towering Class A, no brand is immune from failure. Careful research, detailed inspections, and realistic expectations are the only real safeguards against turning the dream of freedom into an endless cycle of repairs. That wraps up our countdown of motorhomes mechanics warn you to avoid. If this helped protect your savings or travel plans, tap like and drop your experiences in the comments below. I read everyone. Subscribe with notifications on because the next guide could save you from making the costliest mistake yet.